Hey everybody. My name's Mike. I'm an associate editor at EGM.
My name's Evan Slead. I'm also an associate editor at EGM.
So, what we're gonna do today is talk over the gameplay demo that I got to try out at a recent event for Wolfenstein II, the new Colossus.
Awesome. Let's jump in.
Yeah, let's jump into it. So, you haven't played this series before, right?
No, I haven't. I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, but I know that you are.
Yeah, I definitely. This is one of my favorite series. I'd say of narrative-based first person. So this is just a little backstory. So that's B.J. Blazkowicz. He's the main character of the series.
Okay.
For most of the 11 entries in the series. So of those 11 entries, there's been 3 that's in this current storyline.
Okay.
The first one was Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and that was by a different developer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bethesda gave MachineGames, who's the current developer, the rights to this franchise, but they got to they sort of took off this from where the last storyline left off for Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Okay.
And continued it with Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Oh, gotcha.
And then they sort of remade Return to Castle Wolfenstein as Wolfenstein: The Old Blood,
Okay.
which came out after The New Order.
Mm-hmm.
So this continues the storyline from The New Order.
And so the gameplay you're showing right now, is this the beginning of the game?
They didn't really explain, but I'm going to assume, because in the last game, at the end of New Order, BJ takes a grenade to the chest by the series' main villain, William Deathshead Strauss.
Okay.
I guess it's Wilhelm.
Sure.
But so you noticed he was all messed up. He's in a wheelchair. He's been down for, I think they say at some point he's been down for 5 months in that bed or something.
Okay.
So you're playing this in a wheelchair, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it's
a really neat way. I mean, it doesn't really affect your mobility in any significant way.
So you're just moving with the control stick.
Yeah, I mean it's basically the same thing. There was sort of some, you could kind of tell I was having a little bit of difficulty, sort of more so than if you were just walking and moving around.
Right.
So, and I thought they did a really good job with that. It definitely felt sort of like you're rolling around in a wheelchair.
Okay.
While you're playing this.
Yeah, it looked a little scary, but now that you're saying it doesn't feel like that, it seems kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the last New Order was just really tight controls-wise.
Mm-hmm.
One thing... I love that part. So this is traps that are set up throughout this level, and this guy right here is set. I'm gonna let him sort of talk.
Okay, all right? All right? Don't even pass sweat. Microwaves will turn you into mush. You don't want to be mush. Shimshin, do you? Okay, wait. Okay, now. Come to me.
So one thing that I really like about this game is the cast of characters, this series. A lot of these characters that are in this one are returning characters. They really do a good job, not necessarily of doing a whole lot of character development, but just enough. And the characters are super well performed. The animation's great in this series.
Yeah.
I love this. Oh,
that's awesome.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things about this series is it's brutal. It feels, when you're playing it, it feels brutal. It feels kinetic.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of weight behind the shooting and behind the sound. The gun sounds are some of my favorite in any shooter or in this game.
And it seems so a lot of this technology is pretty advanced, right? So this is sort of an alternate kind of take on that time period.
Yeah, exactly. So this one takes place in 1961.
Okay.
And New Order takes place in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, you're at the beginning of the game, you get put in a coma for 14 years.
Oh.
So it starts in 1946 and you wake up in 1960.
Okay.
And the whole idea is the Nazis have won.
Oh.
And in 1960, they're starting in the New Order. You take over Europe, or they take over Europe, And in this one, they're invading America, so that's kind of what this is about. So the whole thing takes place in this alternate universe America where the Nazis have invaded and are setting up shop.
Dang.
But one of the big reasons why they took over, were able to take over in the first place, was because they found all this sort of like crazy ancient technology that had been placed by this group called the Dahat Yahud. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Sounds pretty accurate.
So yeah, they're sort of like a lot of the technology, and Set was like a member, and that's how you get in touch with him in the first game, is he knows where all that technology is.
Okay.
And I just really love this part. It's such a small part, but the way that you move around this level is so cool.
So cool. Yeah, those are just like gears.
Yeah,
Wow.
it uses like parts of the environment to create like little transitions between areas, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I will say that the the footage that I got of this, I mean, this is a hard game, and like the first or New Order was like challenging, but I played on one of the harder difficulties. I don't remember which one exactly. But there was only like a couple of parts where I got stuck and had to play them over and over again.
Okay.
And in this one, I had to play a lot of the areas over and over again, and so I like definitely heavily edited this. I'm not gonna go in there and pretend like I just blasted through this, because that is not the case. I died a lot.
That's fair though.
Part of the problem was in this demo, at least, that like, and I was explaining this earlier after I played it, was like, so I played it was definitely set up for mouse and keyboard, but they had a controller there, and I'm a controller player,
right?
And there wasn't any like they didn't have the options during the demo to like turn down the sensitivity, and I play with really low sensitivity. Like in the first one, I had to play on the lowest sensitivity, because it's just like that, and it's very, very PC friendly.
Yeah, no.
In that way,
right?
It definitely feels like a classic PC shooter in that way.
Okay.
But it didn't really translate well for me. And then the other part was that like my screen at the demo was like super dark for a lot of it, and then I didn't think to have them fix that until like halfway through my playthrough.
Sure, yeah. So you had a lot against you.
Yeah, I had a lot going against me, almost as much as BJ has right here.
Outside of all of that, though, did you feel like this seems more difficult than the last game, or on par?
I mean, another part of what was difficult, and I don't know if they're going to add this into the game, was, I'm used to, and the map right here, just not to cut myself off, but the map right here, you can just get a sense of how big each of these levels are.
Yeah.
And they're sort of open, which is nice, because it definitely reminds me of, the older Wolfensteins in that way, where the areas were a little bit more open.
Right.
You could explore them. Like, I did a lot of exploring in this level that I didn't really need to do.
Sure, yeah.
But there was still guys there. There's still enemies there to fight. There's still collectibles to find.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's sort of returned from the first game. But like in New Order, there's like it definitely still kind of retains that structure of like, you go to one big area, there's a big action set piece.
Okay.
And they did this in the new Doom also. Not MachineGames, but whoever developed that, I can't think of them at the time.
Yeah.
But so you go to big open areas, there's a big shootout, and then you go through a couple hallways, and then there's another big shootout set piece. But the set pieces in this are like really cool, and we'll get to that later in some of the later parts. But so they do a really good they do a really good job structurally of like of really keeping you interested and making you want to sort of check out. So like right here, I could have just beat the game. It was too dark. I couldn't really tell where I was supposed to go. So I just end up wandering, but here's like a collectible. They bring this back from the first game where you can find like backstory and stuff.
Okay.
You get because he's been down, like after that grenade, he's been in bed for like 5 months. So it gives you a lot of backstory on what has happened since then.
Okay, cool.
So you get a lot of story that way too, which I really like that. Like, I know some people don't necessarily like having to read when they're playing a game to get their story, but I like that kind of stuff. And the cutscenes in this, I'm not going to show any of them, because I would say half of my playthrough was like cutscenes. Like, they're like really long, invested cutscenes.
Okay, right.
And they're super well acted, just like the last game. The animation's really good for the most part on the characters. Like, all the characters are really fun. A lot of the same characters come back. Like, Max is back, and Wyatt's back, Caroline's back, Seth's back, Anya's back. So a lot of the your favorite characters from the first one are going to be in this one.
Great.
But I didn't really want to show the cutscenes because I didn't really want to spoil anything.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, here's one of the melee takedowns. You can even do that from a wheelchair, so that's cool.
That's even better. I'm
pretty sure I just eat it here. I just totally die. And if you notice, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but the health at the bottom, it was only going up to like 50 health. Oh, so in Terrorbilly, that's like that's what they call it. Yeah,
right,
that's what the Germans call you.
Right.
Because that's the whole thing. You're sort of like this really huge known entity in the German army. Like they're on this U-boat, which you had your friends had captured from the Germans. They're on here looking for you because you're such a known entity.
Oh, okay.
And you're sort of like a symbol for this resistance. Resistance movement, and so they think by taking you down, they're gonna sort of kill the resistance.
Yeah, and take down the leader, the image.
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
That was my next question: is why they were here and looking for you. But...
Yeah. That's you're like the face of the resistance,
okay.
And they think that it would totally demoralize the Americans who obviously don't want the Nazis to be there.
Right.
So yeah, you're like a very well-known figure in this world.
Gotcha. It's interesting. Yeah, like I'm really liking the whole wheelchair mechanic.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
It really is, and I wonder if they're gonna carry that through in different ways throughout the rest of the game, like other things that you might have to navigate in that you normally wouldn't in these kinds of games.
Yeah, I mean, so in the first game, there's a sequence where you're like breaking out of prison, and if I remember correctly, I actually haven't played that game in a little while. But you're piloting different vehicles for a few moments, and there's one where you're like you're underwater, and you have like a sort of propeller, like personal propeller thing.
Nice.
So I'm assuming that they're definitely going to bring back some of those kind of set pieces also in this one.
Sure.
Because it is a very, like, if you like the first one, I really think you're going to like this one. Like the environments are awesome. The guns still sound amazing.
Right.
I'm big on how guns sound and how they feel.
That makes sense. I mean, if you play a lot of shooters, I feel like you can start to notice when something sounds cheap, even. Like,
yeah, and these sound like heavy.
Right.
We'll get to this is the only weapon that they let you use in this level, but we'll see some of the other weapons that you get later in one of the later missions.
Okay. So I know you're on a ship now, but you said the story takes place in America when they're trying
to
get, so most of the game, I'm assuming, will take place there too.
Yeah, and you're going to be in a bunch of different like cities. I'm pretty sure Chicago is one of them.
Oh, nice.
One of the cities that they showed off in this was Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay.
And we'll get to that in a little bit, but they do a great job of making you feel like the Nazis are actually like taking over and implanting their culture
Sweet.
over American culture, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know, it definitely there's stuff that maybe I missed in this demo. Like, I know you're going to be able to dual wield, and they didn't really explain when I was at the event like how you do that. Maybe I should have just taken the time to figure it out, but you can dual wield, and that might have made it a lot easier for me because I was just shooting at about 1 million Nazis with like one gun at a time.
Yeah.
There's definitely weapons that they've showed off in marketing materials, like flamethrowers that I didn't really get a chance to try.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, there's definitely more stuff in this. Yeah, but you can get a look at like and they look pretty similar to how they looked in the first game. And this is Anya with her big old eyebrows.
So she's a returning character.
Yeah, she's like your wife, I guess.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, she's pregnant in this with twins, I guess. Which they're about to say in like 2 seconds, so I don't know why I just said that. But
you're just setting it up for us.
Yeah.
I like his scar.
Yeah, he got all messed up by that grenade.
And you said it got in his chest, or like they threw it at his chest?
Yeah, I mean the guy was kind of like holding it.
Oh, okay.
And it just like, yeah, you can see he's all sort of messed up.
Dang.
got a beard.
Yeah.
So that's new.
So fat.
Zed says we're having twins.
So yeah, this is... Love this. They're just kind of hovering their faces next to each other, not moving. I don't know if they're going to change that. All right, so here's Roswell. This is the start of the Roswell mission. And obviously you could see on that poster that he's like a big, his face is everywhere.
Right.
They want him. And if you notice, this is on July 4th, 1961, so it's sort of symbolic in that way.
It's kind of amazing, actually.
But this, I just think this game looks really nice too. Like all the textures look great. Like this guy's funny.
You want to know a secret? Well, I won't tell you, because you're a fucking Nazi traitor. Uh-huh. But you I can trust. All those Nazis come and die. Like, boom!
Yeah, doesn't look like they like animated his face yet.
He just like speaking out of his
Yeah,
brain.
that's a very like Dark Souls sort of thing. Where it's just like,
well, it's cool. Like just what I'm noticing from the start here is that even though this is a pretty dour and dark storyline, everything's really colorful and feels pretty real.
yeah, I mean it also has like that sort of Fallout aesthetic
Sure.
because of the advanced technology. So there's like little flying. This is 1961, but there's little floating robots. There's like some cool like variations on this, the style of automobile and stuff like that.
You got some of those KKK members.
Yeah, they're talking to the Nazi. They're super stoked that the Nazis took over.
Yay!
And it's kind of jarring, right, to see that kind of stuff.
It really is. Like openly just in the streets.
just hanging out.
Yeah.
Nazi, flags everywhere.
Jeez.
See there's like an example of like that sort of steampunk weird technology, that advanced technology, and like there's so many little details on the street that just make this super believable.
Right.
This part coming up is really funny.
Yeah, it feels very lived in, which isn't always easy to execute.
That's nice, dear. Give my regards to your father when you return to the farm. Oh, and tell him I'm putting some hardworking slaves up for auction this week if he's interested.
Right? It's like, what?
That's
It was so jarring to hear that kind of stuff.
Dang.
But I mean, they really did think out, like, they thought it out a lot of how Nazi culture would like change American culture. So what just happened there was, there was like a diner that I was supposed to go into and talk to someone, and I was going to show that cutscene because it's really intense, but today Bethesda decided to just show it ahead of time.
That's the milkshake one, right?
Yeah. So you can see that. We posted about it, and I can even link to it if that would help. But yeah, they showed like a really cool scene right before they let us show our footage, so I was kind of bummed out about that. But basically, you meet this guy, super spesh, and he has you travel in these underground corridors from his diner to this super secret Nazi base right here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Called the Oberkommander, which is like where all the top Nazis like hang out.
Wow.
So now you have like a little bit more access to new weaponry. I got like this cool looking rifle.
Yeah.
And all the weapons like still look like. Oh yeah, and I just threw a hatchet at him, and then I just beat him.
Oh, that's
down.
awesome.
I didn't get like the cool animation. There's going to be a bunch of the cool melee animations that I got later on.
Oh, okay.
That one, it just seemed to just hit him a bunch and he
Can
fell
you
over.
throw melee weapons? Like
So you have that hatchet.
Okay.
Which I thought I could just melee that. I think some of that's still getting worked out. Like, it seemed like I was close enough to that box where I shouldn't have just chucked it into the box from point blank. But yeah, you do have this like, and you want to get headshots with that thing or else, because you can, like a lot of this is you can play stealth. People that played the first game should be like familiar with it.
Okay.
But you can stealth around these levels. It's not super easy because you don't have like a radar. You can't really tell. The levels are so huge that you can't necessarily tell when people are looking at you.
Right.
And like here, I was trying to stealth, and you'll see in a second. Like I thought I was good, and like this guy wasn't gonna see me, but it's like he knew I was there somehow, even though I was like crouching.
Yeah.
But it gave me an opportunity to just drive a hatchet into his
No, that's
neck.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's cool. You like grab the gun and everything too.
Yeah. The animation, like the melee animations, are so cool in this
Yeah.
game. Like they're really cool. But yeah, you see at the top of the screen, there's like the Nazi commander that's in this area. There's one or two usually commanders in each area.
Okay.
And if they set off an alarm, if you get spotted, a bunch of like backup will start coming in.
Okay.
So you can take them out first, and then there won't be like the backup that's coming in. Yeah, now here's like a new enemy type. There's like these crazy robot things that shooting like energy rockets.
Jeez.
Kind of caught me by surprise at
Well, yeah,
first.
I don't blame you.
But they're really cool looking.
Yeah, they
But
look
then
awesome.
I figured out, you just drive that hatchet right in their necks. You got the dogs still. Like, it can get super chaotic. Like, this game can get nuts.
Well, it's interesting. I wonder if that's something they're going to fix later that you mentioned about the whole stealth approach you're trying to take. Like, do you think maybe they're trying to step away from that? Or
I don't know. Like, it definitely made the first game, like, really fun and interesting in terms of, like, FPS stuff.
Right.
Because it's like, you expect that from a game like Dishonored and those kind of, like, first-person games that aren't so driven by combat and gore and blood.
Right.
This is cool. This is a new... I don't remember this being in the first game, but it's a grenade launcher that shoots sticky grenades
Oh, that's so
that
cool.
you can then set off remotely.
All right, I like that.
Yeah, and like, look, I just love how that weapon looks. Like, they all have these awesome designs to them
Yeah.
that they just kind of look like they're like busy but not too busy.
Right.
There's just a lot of detail in the weapons, which I really, really appreciate.
Oh, definitely.
Especially because so many FPSs now, I feel like, just don't really get weapons, and like they just feel weak. So that was the commander right there. He was just out in the open the whole time. But yeah, I took him out, so you notice that like the alarm thing is gone. It doesn't matter because I already killed literally everybody in the level.
Right.
But yeah, now I'm getting on this really awesome looking train. I just can't get over how cool everything.
Yeah, the detail
looks.
is like pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, and like just the like obviously right there the texture isn't like totally finished, but just like the design of it is really, really awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. What's around his wrists? There's like those kind of hexagonal.
Yeah, so
things.
at a certain point, it was in a cutscene sort of. It showed another character wearing this like really cool suit that was like, impenetrable to bullets, and they actually show it like in one of the trailers, but it's like this sort of exosuit thing that you can't get. It's like bulletproof and lets you jump really fast. I don't know if they're gonna let us play that. I know it shows BJ wearing it at some point in one of the trailers, but I'm assuming that at some point we'll get to play wearing the suit.
Sweet. Okay.
I'm gonna guess that it's not gonna be like a super challenging part of the game because you're basically like Superman.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really explain the backstory, but that's a good catch. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that's definitely part of that suit.
This weapon is kind of sweet. It's like almost like a Gatling shotgun.
I mean, yeah, it's just like an insanely. It's like just a rapid fire shotgun. But
Right.
yeah, the chambers turn. It's like it looks like three. I don't know what happened with that robot. I'm pretty sure.
It's just like
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think they finished that.
They
like,
should
takedown
keep it that
animation.
way. Just
just like
for
without
some
an arm. That
comedic
guy.
value.
But yeah, I mean, it's like that's what I mean. Like all the weapon designs, like this gun just sounds freaking awesome
Yeah,
too.
it really does.
More melee. Like honestly, at a certain point, I was like, I'm just gonna start seeing how many melee kills I can get before I die.
Right. Is
I
that a
wasn't gonna
dog?
mess with that dog though. Yeah.
Oh man, it's got to be dogs. They always have to have dogs.
Yeah, you gotta have dogs. I just love also that they have train sequence.
Yeah.
I just love train sequences in FPSs.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It seems like there's a lot of set pieces already just from what they've shown off.
I mean, there's a ton.
Right.
Like, they have the whole U-boat thing, and that had its own little mechanic, which I didn't really show. I showed off a little bit where you can, like, set traps for people. I was sort of getting my bearings, so I wasn't super good at figuring out how to set the traps properly.
Mm-hmm.
But there's stuff you could have done that I just didn't do, like, you set the trap, and then you fire your weapon and attract Nazis, and they come running at you and they blow up. That's definitely like stuff you can do. I just was caught up in the heat of the moment.
No, I get it.
And also was like completely distracted by how terrible I was doing at this game. And I just didn't think to do that kind of stuff. But it seemed like every level has like some cool mechanic. There's a Nazi commander.
Nice.
See, there's a little bit of the stealth action there.
Yeah, I like that.
And you know, it definitely was like harder to figure out. And there's like these. The stealth in the first game was like way easier, I thought, to figure out than it is in these levels are. They seem more complicated, honestly.
Okay.
Which is a good thing, in some ways, because there's just more variation.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of ways to approach a room or a situation, which is good.
Yeah. But it definitely made stealth gameplay, especially when I'm unfamiliar with a level, made stealth gameplay a little bit more challenging.
Okay, that's cool. I like that because, you know, first-person shooters are so many now, and it's not a bad thing, but there's got to be ways that you can differentiate yourself from the other ones, and I think having the option that if you're more of a stealth person, or you're more of a run and gun and get in there, it's better to keep those both in there than just make it one type of gameplay, you know?
Yeah, and they're both equally challenging in this game,
Sure.
which is good. I don't know if it's maybe artificially challenging with the stealth because there's, you know, there are ways that they make it harder for you to stealth
Right.
by like not giving you a radar and making it sort of hard to know where all the enemies are. But you know, it's still challenging, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that kind of lends itself to this, you know, like you've been mentioning the detailing and the sound design, even with the guns, but also since you don't have a radar, you're probably going to have to be listening way more intently to, like, did I hear someone walking down the hallway near me?
Yeah, that's true. And I think, you know, like you can definitely, if you're playing this in normal conditions, like normal circumstances at home, alone, and not surrounded by like 20 other press people.
Yeah.
It'll, with like not the greatest headphones, to be honest. I don't want to make too many excuses because I definitely was just like messing up a lot on my own.
I don't know about you, but like, were people watching you play? Because when people
No.
watch me play, I suck.
No, you know what was funny was everyone's, you know, sort of there. It's like 2 rows of 10 computers all set up, and everyone's very like zeroed in. But there's nothing dividing everybody. There's no like,
okay.
it's not like a booth or anything. It's
Right.
just like a long table with a bunch of computers, and definitely I was not the only person that was like dying a lot.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
the guy next to me, I don't know, I don't know what publication he was for, and even if I did, I thought you could break that box. I was obviously wrong.
It's all good. I would try to.
But the guy next to me was just like, he was getting mad. He was
really?
slamming. I mean, so I know he was slamming his hands on the table. He was swearing. Like, that's not my style.
I bet his footage is real
But,
fun.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what other people's footage looks like because it's a hard game, and I really wish I would have taken the time to try it in mouse and keyboard.
Right.
But I'm just not a mouse and keyboard person, and I feel like it would have been even worse.
Yeah, I would be the same way as you. I think I would, even if it's hard, I would do much better with a controller because that's what I'm used to. So
I definitely wish that they, and I asked them after if they were going to let you like change the sensitivity because that's like a pretty standard feature, and they said yes. So obviously,
good.
but
Yeah.
I just wish it was part of the demo.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, this is partly why you don't even want to bother with stealth a lot of the time because it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like getting in these shootouts, like the explosions.
Oh, wow.
You get knocked back if you're too close.
That's pretty cool.
Just like I love these enemies too. They're a lot harder, but like you notice I hit him in the arm and I just like took his arm off.
Yeah.
And so he, you know, both hands have that weapon, that like laser weapon. So if you take an arm off, you know, it looks like you can. I don't know with the gun because I literally just chopped his arm off with a hatchet. But I'm pretty sure later on, like I take out separate, like taking out different limbs will affect, you know, the enemy. So you can
Interesting.
You can sort of hamper him because that's a tough enemy. You can't just melee take him down like these robots.
Right. Well, and the fact that they're robots, like they're not going to feel pain or anything, so you're going to have to like demolish them.
Yeah, you really got to go at them.
Right.
Really get in there, get your hands dirty.
It seems like the music kind of suggests that you should be running and gunning a little bit too.
Well, yeah, I don't think that stuff pops up when you're stealthing.
Right.
But yeah, when you're in this sort of like the heat of the moment. These crazy epic firefights that are completely chaotic. Yeah, I was curious about the music because you're supposed to be this American hero, but this definitely sounds like Euro trash, like EDM, and I'm like that seems something more Germans would like than Americans.
I don't know. It could be lending to its what came before, but
maybe. I mean, I would rather be like taking out a bunch of Nazis while like Leonard Skinner's playing or something like that.
Should have done like techno remix Leonard Skinner.
No.
Just normal Leonard
standard Freebird.
Right. Fair enough.
Well, I'm just
you should make a fan
Nazis
cut of the game later and do that.
I need to do that. I couldn't do it for this because we'd get like copyright infringement.
Yeah, that's true.
I love this when you get too close to him, like like a few seconds ago, I had gotten knocked off and just killed because like I got too close to this guy and he just blasted me off.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, this is I don't think this was in the last game. Like I don't remember this, but it's like this sweet laser.
Yeah, it's a giant laser
and
beam.
like right here is a really good. It shows you what it can do.
Dang, yeah, you can just like go across the room.
Up. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, and the particle effects in this game are so good.
They look really good.
They did a great job.
That's awesome, actually.
Boom, like these guys just explode.
See, that's really cool though, because again, like gore effects are fun in games and everything, but like it's kind of nice to know if you use a different weapon, you're gonna get a different experience.
Yeah. I mean, like you saw with that shotgun, I was just like, I blew that one robot up with that shotgun. And
right.
With this, I think there's definitely gonna be more energy weapons in this too that are like that laser.
Right.
That'll give you that sort of like giblet effect, which I adore in games. Any game that does awesome giblet effects, like that guy, I just blew his head up, so that's awesome. I'm unashamed of how much I love that kind of gore in games. Like that's probably why I like the Gears of War series so much. Like it is fun, but like the giblets in that game are.
No, I get it, man. It's like the more over the top, the more I'm actually okay with it because it just feels like you're getting your experience with how fantastical it can be with gore.
Yeah, I mean it's like 80s action movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so over the top, so bloody.
Right.
And I love that stuff. So this is sort of near the end of this playthrough. Basically, you have to get this like nuclear weapon that you traveled to Roswell with and plant it in the nuclear reactor at the Overcommander because you're just gonna take them all out like in one fell swoop.
Sure, why not?
But you notice at the top there's two commanders in this. You can tell because there's two signals.
Okay.
And I didn't really notice, but it definitely directs you towards where the commanders are.
Oh, interesting.
And I feel like you can use that. That's one tool that I really didn't take advantage of. Again, because I'm dumb. And this was my first playthrough event that I've ever done. But you can it seems like you can get a sense of like how the room's laid out based on where the commander is. It's like, oh, he's in this big open area, probably surrounded by a bunch of guys. Let me sort of check out the perimeter and see like how I can get in there without bringing too much attention to him. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, here we go. Blazkowicz is getting the nuclear reactor.
Do it.
The nuke in here, and this is basically where the playthrough ends. So,
oh wow, okay. Well, that was awesome, actually.
This game comes out on a busy day. It's October 27th. Which is the same day as Mario Odyssey and Assassin's Creed.
Oh, wow.
But, I'm not going to let that stop me from picking this game up.
I don't blame you.
I love the series. The story is still awesome. The animation's great. The action's great. So, it's coming out for Xbox One, PS4, and PC on October 27th. And they also just recently announced some DLC, which we put an article up about, so you should check that out.
Fantastic.
Because the DLC sounds really cool too. It's like 3 new characters with 3, and each has its own campaign. So it's all single player DLC. I don't think there's any multiplayer in this game, just like with New Order. So they're doing some really cool single player DLC, and it sounds cool.
Yeah, that sounds great.
It's kind of a bummer for people when the DLC gets announced before, like months before the game comes out, but sounds like it's new enough and interesting enough that. And it's only $25, so
that's worth it.
I mean, I'll probably pick it up just because I want to support MachineGames. I think they're a good developer, and I really love this series. But yeah, that was Wolfenstein II, the new Colossus.
Awesome! Thanks for letting me watch with you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
And thank you out there for watching. So check out EGMnow.com for all your video game news. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.